Welcome back to another video. The last one was so much fun. We went over NTP server management as far as the synchronization of time between all NTP clients, right? As far as the global clock, at least relative to your local time, right? But on this video, we're going to go over high availability and disaster recovery concepts. Oh man, this is going to be a good one. So first, we're going to go over the server failover clustering, right? Now, physical and virtual servers, right? They host several essential resources that need to be highly available in the corporate infrastructure, typically, right? For example, a server that hosts several virtual machines utilizing the Hyper-V virtualization technology, right? Just for instance, but what we're going to do now is actually going to install and configure Hyper-V. Now, we're configuring a failover cluster for resources on the network. The servers added to the cluster pool must be configured identically for the cluster to function correctly. So we're going to take a look at our network and internet settings, right? We're going to, of course, change our adapted options as we've done in the last quite a few videos, actually. So we're going to take a look at the properties here, see what's going on. And of course, the properties for our version 4 protocol. And I'm actually going to use different address than what's automatic there. So let's take a look at 192.168. There we go. 07 subnet automatic 192.168.0.250, and everything looks good, right? Yes, of course, right? So now I'm just going to close this up here. Now we're good, and I'm going to take a look at our server manager and we're going to add some roles. Let's actually maximize this first, right? And we're going to hit next here. Installation type, normally hitting next. Destination server, we're good there. Now for this one, we gotta do something extra. We gotta add Hyper-V, right? Not V. If you watch the boys, we're doing Hyper-V, okay? So I'm gonna click next there, and pretty much next all the way through to install, really. Um, virtual switches, actually I'm gonna do Ethernet 2. For the Hyper-V network adapter. And as far as this one, I'm actually going to leave it default here. Next is good. And let's see, let's do, this is good. Let's take a look here. All right, and then restart. Yeah, that's good. So we're going to install, and I'll bring you guys in on the other side once everything gets finished up. So everything has succeeded and restarted. You're on the other side now. So I'm going to go in here. We can take a look at our Hyper-V manager, right? Let's maximize that there. And let's take a look at our virtual switch manager here, which we did a couple videos ago, I believe. So I'm actually going to take a look at the Microsoft Hyper-V network adapter, the virtual switch. And I'm actually going to change this to practice lab. Yes. Right. And I'm actually going to click OK here. Perfect. And I'm actually going to close that. Now, a virtual switch is created and associated with the previously configured network adapter, even though a specific name was also associated with it, which needs to be the same as on the other server, which will now be added to the cluster pool. So I'm going to actually configure the failover server for the cluster. Now, when configuring servers for this, the configuration for the servers needs to be exactly the same to ensure a failover can occur in the case of a disaster or network outage. So we're going to swivel over to DMO1 right here. Then we're going to take a look at our network settings once we're loaded in. Right. Let's go here. And of course, we're going to do that there. And take a look at our properties here. We're going to take a look at our version 4 properties as well. And we're going to make sure we have everything configured properly. 92.680. 8 subnet automatic 92.168.250, and we want our preferred DNS 02. And we're gonna click OK. Yes, we do. All right. And we're gonna click close here. We're actually gonna click out of all of this. Now we're gonna go back to our Hyper-V, at least in this one. Uh, there it is. Almost didn't see it for a second. All right. And first we want to take a look at our virtual switch manager. And we want to create a virtual switch. All right. And we're going to name it the exact same thing we named the other one. Yes. And let's remember to, let's see. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. And it's for external. Should be. Okay, we'll take its time. Hmm. Okay, that's a bit strange. There it is. Okay. All right, so everything is good. Just wanted to double check here. All right. Perfect. So we're good there. All right. And so we're good to go. So that means I can actually close this up. I don't know why I'm in it for so long. So I'm just going to add some roles and features. Mhm. All right. And just next. Next. Now this one, failover clustering. We're going to add those features here. All right. Next. And for this one, I'm going to restart. Yes. I'm going to install here. Now that we got the install has succeeded and everything's restarted, we can move forward now. And we can actually take a look at our tools and we can see failover cluster manager now, right? And so should be pop up here. There it is. Let's maximize all our windows, of course. Now we're going to actually create a cluster here before we begin. All right, and the select servers we want. Okay. Okay. All right. And oh, okay, but what about the other one here? Let's fix that. All right, so we got that situated so we can actually move forward to the next menu. All right, so what's it? There it is. All right, leave that. All right, now let's see. Okay. All right, perfect. And we're gonna hit next here. And the test is currently running. And I'll place you guys on the other side of this being 100%. So we're finally all finished, as you can see here on the success and then the summary. right? Now, the validate configuration wizard, what it does is it verifies if the servers that have been added for the creation of the cluster have got the correct configuration before the cluster can be created, right? And we're actually going to name this plab cluster, right? Um, okay, and the address here we want 9. Okay, perfect. Now we can hit next here. Now the creation of the cluster may take a few moments to complete. I'll place you guys on the other side of that as well. All right, so everything is completed. Just gonna hit finish here on the summary. And now I can actually configure a role here. And we'll hit next here, right? And then I actually click here. And we're going to do plab. I best thing I can come up with. All right, perfect. And for this, we're going to do 10. Going to let me type. It is perfect. Okay, next again, of course. And finish. And we created a role and we created a failover cluster. Now I'm just going to actually expand this and we're going to take a look at the roles. And we're up and running. We're good to go. So that means I can actually close this because it's successfully created and up and running. Let's close that out and let's minimize this. Okay, nothing else is open. So I'm just going to start to configure a backup solution. So implementing a backup is critical to ensure a company's data is secure in the event of a disaster or accidental deletion, and several considerations need to be taken into account when configuring the solution. I mean, some of the considerations can be mean time between failure, mean time to repair, recovery point objective, recovery time objective, couple different solutions that can be given, but what we're going to start off with is just installing a normal backup solution. So let's actually start with the PowerShell here, right? And same as what we've been using before. Okay, perfect. So now what's going to happen is the Windows Server backup feature is going to be installed using the server manager after this is done installing it. There is no need to restart the server after feature typically has been installed. So we should be good to go there in just a second. Just a second. All right, so now that's done, we can exit out of here and we can take a look at our disk management here, which we've done so many times before. So we're actually going to make this go online, right? And then we're going to initialize it. Now that it's online, okay, that's fine. All right, and then the unallocated, we're going to do some new volume, right? And that's fine, right? That's fine. And we want to name this Vito backup, right? Hit finish. Right, and I can actually close this out. So now I'm going to actually create a scheduled backup. Now to ensure company data is secure in the event of a data loss, right? A scheduled backup must be configured to ensure the data can be recovered. Where is it here? There it is. Now, depending on the company's backup policy, the frequency of the backups need to be done of when they need to be done can be will be determined. Um, but let's take a look here, right? Let's take a look at our local backup. Waiting for everything to load here. Okay, so now we can take a look at our backup schedule. All right, and we're gonna do next, custom, but next. All right, and now let's see, we're gonna add some items here. Gonna do Hyper-V, which is fine. Gonna do next. Actually, let me, yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, so the time of day, we could do 5 p.m. Let's see, a typical work day. To run the backup. And let's see now, depending on the backup policy, the backup frequency can be defined for more than once a day if needed, by the way. And I'll just leave this where it is. I just wanted to say that. And also different types of backups destinations can be used for this backup, right? You can see here for the purposes of the lab, a local drive is going to be used as a backup. So actually, let's take a look at all available disks here, right? And disk one is what we want, right? And yes. Okay, and we can actually hit finish. Shouldn't take long at all. Now, backup has been scheduled to occur once a day for the specific files that were defined. Now, depending on what needs to be backed up, different options can be specified for the frequency and the files to be backed up, right? So close this out, and that pretty much brings us to the end of the video. I just want to touch really quickly on hardware redundancy and high availability, which resources that can be achieved by the addition and configuration of hardware devices, right? As far as like hot, cold, warm, and cloud sites under uninterruptible power supplies, power distribution units and generators, to pressure systems, ventilation, air conditioning, active versus active passive failover, virtual router redundancy protocol versus hot redundancy protocol, and things of that nature. I mean, it could go on and on. I just wanted to touch on those. But for a brief recap of what we've done today, we went over high availability and disaster recovery concepts. And we've done a few things. We did some server failover clustering. We configured a backup solution and we did some hardware. Well, we talked very, very briefly about hardware redundancy and high availability. This was definitely a lot of fun. Can't wait to get to the next one where we're going over configuring switching features for different lab topologies, VLANs, access ports, and trunk ports, and things of that nature. I don't know, I'm not going to say too much, but I'll see you there. Well, hopefully I'll see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.